If you're like most people on a path of personal growth, there are parts of your life that still feel like they're not fully under your control. It feels like there's a hidden script running in the background. You keep finding yourself in the same relationship dynamics, the same cycles of self-doubt, and it's deeply confusing because you're doing the work. You're journaling, you're meditating, you're trying to think differently, but you still get hijacked by that old anger, that old insecurity, that old need for approval. But I want you to imagine for a moment understanding the hidden blueprint of your own mind, and imagine moving through life with a sense of deep wholeness where all the parts of you are finally working for you, not against you. Now, most people never reach this state of integration because they're too busy trying to fix themselves. And the truth is that no one ever gave you the user manual for the human psyche. But 100 years ago, a Swiss psychiatrist named Carl Jung did. And he explained that the invisible force that you're fighting is actually the key to unlocking your full potential. By the end of this episode, you'll learn about the path that Jung laid out for becoming a truly whole and integrated person, and you'll see your own patterns and your entire life through a new lens in a way that turns confusion into clarity and gives you your power back. Welcome to A Changed Mind. All right, guys, I'm going to walk you through 6 of Carl Jung's major distinctions. And I have to say, this is one of the most complete bodies of work I've ever seen in human psychology and personal growth. So I'm going to introduce each teaching. I'm going to explain how Jung defined it and then break it down for you. So the first distinction is what Jung called the shadow. So Jung defined the shadow as the thing a person has no wish to be. Basically, all the things that you don't like about yourself, that you want to push away and that you reject. Now, a lot of people misinterpret the shadow as the dark or the broken part of themselves, but Jung saw it as the repressed, unintegrated material. It's your instincts, your emotions, your creativity, your sexuality. It's even your strengths and your potential. And the shadow forms because the dominant part of your personality, which is the ego, takes over, and anything that isn't part of that definition of who you are gets pushed underground. And so this shows up through overreactions, projections, triggers, repetitive patterns, not because you're broken, but because there are parts of you that want to be integrated into the whole version of you. This is really, really important. And this is why the shadow is actually the key to accessing your full potential, because there are parts of you that aren't yet playing with the rest. And when you put all the pieces together, bam, that unlocks the full potential version of you. In family systems, this might be referred to as your inner child. Maybe you've heard of this, doing inner child work or inner children. The parts of you that feel rejected, but they'll keep coming back until you learn to integrate them. And what's interesting is that it's the integration of these parts of your personality that is the key that actually unlocks your next level. But because we don't understand this, we end up fighting ourselves, trying to stuff down these bad behaviors rather than understanding what they are and integrating them into your whole being. Now, in our world, we call the shadow the core program. It's a set of thoughts and emotions, an aspect of your personality that evolved out of a core trauma. And so for me, for example, one aspect of my core program or my shadow is worry. I worry a lot. But when I learned how to work with my shadow, I realized that worry is just the shadow side of the gift, which is I ruminate. I mean, if you watch this show, you know I go deep on shit. And that requires a lot of thinking, ruminating. I take an idea like a grain of sand and I roll it over and over in my mind until it becomes a pearl of wisdom that I discover for myself and usually share with you. But I also worry. I worry about my health. I worry about a lot of things. I used to worry about money because that's a part of what came out of my early childhood, but it's not a bad thing. When I realized that the worry was a coping mechanism and I stopped hating on it and started accepting that that's part of who I am, I stopped fighting it. I mean, think about how much energy and time you spend judging yourself, blaming yourself, criticizing yourself, trying to avoid these parts of yourself that you're ashamed of. The shadow isn't to be ashamed of. It's a part of who you are, and as you come to grips with it and accept it and love yourself, not just in spite of it, but because of it, all that energy now gets transferred to productivity in your life. That's why understanding and integrating the shadow is so powerful, because in the no longer fighting with it, you unlock your next level. More creativity, more presence, more money, more impact, because you're no longer fighting yourself. Jung's got this famous line. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And that's true. Until you deal with your shadow, your reality will keep reflecting it back to you, presenting you an opportunity to learn and self-accept and integrate. And if you don't, well, it just keeps showing up. Your reality will keep reflecting you until you change the part of you that created it. Now, distinction number 2 is called the persona. Jung called the persona a kind of mask designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and on the other to conceal the true nature of the individual. So this is the adapted social self. It's the compromise that we've made between ourselves as individuals and society, right? So the persona is the identity that you built to survive and interact with others. It's the achiever, the pleaser, the strong one, the comedian, the performer, right? It was necessary. But what happens is it becomes a prison when you forget that it's just a mask. It's an identity. Most suffering comes from trying to live your life as the persona instead of your true self. So I would describe the persona as the version of you that learned how to survive, but not thrive. So it's the identity that got you approval, belonging, safety, certainty, but the persona becomes a prison when you try to build a future from a mask designed to survive the past. I mean, think about it. If you're creating your reality, and you are, and your reality is being created by who you are, what you think, and how you feel, then if the mask represents who you needed to be to survive your childhood, then the future, really the only future that you can create from the persona, is a future where you're trying to survive. And so people struggle. No money. They struggle with their health. They struggle with their relationships, and they want to change their reality, but they can't as long as they're hiding behind the persona, because you're trying to create a new life from an old identity. I think this is why my life changed so much when I got into drug and alcohol and sex addiction recovery, because I was forced to confront myself, to look at my shadow, to look at my persona, and to really question if it was necessary anymore. And when I dropped the persona, my life started to change because I was becoming a different person. Now, the third principle is what Jung calls the unconscious. He described the personal unconscious as contents that have been acquired during the individual's lifetime, but which have been forgotten or repressed. This is, for example, memories, impressions, wishes, conflicts that have lost conscious intensity, but still influence behavior. So this is the psychological storehouse of your unprocessed experiences. Everything you saw, you felt, you feared, you believed, you concluded, you suppressed, or forgot actually lives here. And this is the source of dreams and projections and triggers, intuition, and your unconscious emotional reactions. So it's the driver for all your subconscious decisions, subconscious behaviors, and even the way that you perceive your life. And so Jung saw the unconscious as an actual living intelligence, not just a vault of trauma. And this is important when you understand that you create your reality, because the vault is what is creating it. In our work, when our clients realize, wow, my unconscious mind is creating my reality, the next question is, hey, how do I become conscious of what I'm not conscious of? And here's a super cool hack into the unconscious. If your unconscious mind is creating your reality, notice your reactions to your reality. In other words, if someone lets you down, notice that your reaction is, I can't trust people, right? If you look at your bank account, notice if your reaction is, I don't have enough. See, most people think their external world is creating that reaction inside of them, right? The person is creating it, the bank account is creating it. But really, what you're getting a glimpse of is your vault. You're looking into your vault. Because those beliefs that you can't trust people, that you don't have enough, they're in your vault. So those reactions aren't an effect of your reality. Your reality is not causing you to feel that way. They're actually what created your reality in the first place. So Jung says the unconscious creates your reality and you meet it as fate. He's very much speaking into the idea of the law of attraction, like what you think becomes your reality, and the material that is the driving force behind what you create is the vault. It's your unconscious mind. Hey, it's David. Quick interruption to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. I want to let you know about an opportunity to go even deeper into this work together. If you have not yet, please check out the show notes. In there, we've got links to both our Mind Hack and our Whole Human Framework programs. Our Mind Hack course is an incredible framework. It's the foundation of everything that I teach on this show to help you understand how to become deeply aware of the subconscious programs that are holding you back, and to teach you the technologies and frameworks to allow you to dramatically transform those belief systems and rewire your brain. Again, the Mind Hack program is our 7-day self-paced program. We also have our 12-week course, The Whole Human Framework. And we've got both of them right now bundled in a special offer for those of you who want to go big, want to go fast, and who understand that you don't want to put off another day of your full potential or holding on to unnecessary stress, anxiety, or suffering, but you want to be liberated from these habits of thinking and have a powerful living experience. Check out the link in the show notes, jump on over to the website, take a look at the programs and the extraordinary success stories of entrepreneurs just like you who have gone through these courses, and I will see you on the other side. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. Principle number 4 is what Jung calls individuation, becoming who you actually are. So he says, individuation is the process by which a person becomes an individual, a unique, indivisible unity or whole. And he called individuation the natural drive towards psychological and spiritual wholeness. Now, this is really important to understand because it is literally the North Star of Jung's work. What he's basically saying is that you came here to become whole. He's suggesting that we started out as part of the whole, or God, or however you describe a higher power, and then we individuate. We come in as a unique personality, and the purpose of life isn't to fix ourselves, it's to return to wholeness as a uniquely independent and individual expression of that wholeness. So this is where Jung talks about purpose and instinct, the idea of the hero's journey, that each person is on their own journey back to wholeness. And as we understand the journey, according to Jung, the shadow, the persona, the unconscious mind, as we navigate through the map by understanding ourselves better, what becomes revealed is the person you were meant to be. And all these other forces are there to inspire you, to guide you, to reflect back to you, the person you came here to be. And I really like this because what he's saying here is that every single person is fallible, has flaws, has character defects, but at the same time, not really. Because all those flaws are actually part of the intelligent design of you becoming you. So it's a return to wholeness as you integrate all these pieces of yourself. And as you do so, right, you dissolve the old identity and you emerge as the whole, complete human with an updated belief system and an upgraded nervous system. So you become an example of someone who has gone through the fire and alchemized and integrated all the elements of yourself into a sovereign, powerful being. And that really rings true to me. You know, anybody that I look up to, anybody that's ever done anything meaningful in the world, they've had to go through the shit. They've had to learn how to live with themselves rather than battle themselves. They've had to learn how to leverage all the parts of themselves and become masters over the entirety of who they are. And I think it's pretty cool, right? That's what self-mastery is. And Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And the good news is that it's not about going out there and trying to acquire aspects of yourself that you're missing. It's just the opposite. It's the idea that you're already, and you've already got all the pieces. It's just a matter of organizing them into the highest version of who you came here to be. So, principle number 5, synchronicity. And this is one of my favorites. Jung described synchronicity as events that are meaningfully related without causal explanation. So that's when two things happen that relate to one another, but they don't seem to have an apparent connection. Like you think of someone and they call you. You have a business idea and then you meet someone who wants to invest in an idea like that. It's like, how did that happen? Well, Jung says when synchronicity happens, it means you're aligned. You're on the right track. You're being who you were meant to be. And when that happens, your inner world and your thoughts align with your outer world experiences. So people misunderstand synchronicity as signs from the universe, and Jung meant something more precise. Synchronicity is the alignment between your inner state and your outer reality. It's coherence, it's resonance. It's the mind interacting with the quantum field. And we talked a little bit about this before, but when you're no longer battling with yourself and you're freely working with all these aspects of yourself, your vibration stabilizes. You operate at a higher frequency, and this begins to collapse the time gap between the old version of yourself and the full version of yourself. And as that happens, your new expressed expansive version starts to call forth your future fast. And what we see as synchronicities is really an identity match. The field starts to recognize the new you, and so reality begins to reorganize to match that new identity. And this is where people often get stuck because it often feels like, I don't want to be over here. I don't want to be this person. I have to go over there. But the truth is, your future isn't something you walk toward. It's something that starts reflecting the moment you match it. And so synchronicities are the reflection. It's a feedback signal that's saying something like, you got it. That's correct. Keep going. Principle number 6 is active imagination. Jung defines active imagination as a method of introspection for observing the stream of interior images. Okay? A little bit complicated, but this is Jung's deepest tool for turning unconscious material into conscious self-awareness. So active imagination and his philosophy around it is actually what led to all of the modern parts work, integrated family systems, visualization, and deep journaling practices. So active imagination is Jung's most misunderstood practice. It's not visualizing, it's actually dialoguing. It's taking internal material and being able to engage with it. And so this idea is actually the basis of all good belief shifting work, including my frameworks. It's the ability to see, okay, I'm thinking that money is hard to make, but is this true? Where did this idea come from? Okay, I got it from my dad. But was it true back then? Was it true that money was hard to make? Or did my dad just not understand that he's creating his reality? Did my dad just have programs that he adopted from his parents, right? Maybe money was never hard to make. It's just that my dad didn't understand how reality works and that his struggles with money were a result of his beliefs. But I understand how beliefs work, so I don't have to believe that money is hard to make. Well, what's true for me? Well, I believe there's a ton of money out there. There's more money than ever before. I think the world is abundant. My life is pretty abundant. Anyway, you get the point, right? Active imagination becomes a way that we can interrogate our own thoughts. And in that interrogation, create the possibility of a new perspective. Not the perspective from our shadow, but the perspective from our individuated higher self. See, this is how it all comes together. The self that came from the whole. When there's no financial insecurity, there's no disease, there's no loneliness. None of that exists in the whole. And so we can use active imagination as a way to transform or integrate our unique understandings into a new, fully integrated perspective of ourselves and of life. Whether that's journaling or belief questioning or self-inquiry or emotional awareness or future self-dialoguing, these are all forms of active imagination. And it's through this ability to dialogue within that we care that we're able to transform this previously unconscious material into conscious power and personal expansion. So I think Jung's work is foundational. I think understanding it gives me a tremendous perspective on the parts of me that I misunderstood and how they're not enemies or adversaries, but something that I actually want to integrate. And I think that Jung's work points to a single truth, that you are not who you think you are who you are becoming. And your unconscious, your shadow, all the obstacles, they were guides, they were tools, right? And that your psyche is speaking to you in the only language it knows, right? Your life is not random. Synchronicities are not coincidences. They're actually the path, they're the curriculum, they're the way home. And when you stop resisting them, when you begin working with this inner material consciously, your life can transform from the inside out. You become whole, you become sovereign, you literally become the creator of your own reality. And that's what this is all about. How to change your mind and change your life. So anyway, I hope you love this episode as much as I love sharing it with you. If you want to go deeper into Jung's work, I highly recommend it. It's been foundational in what I've created with my frameworks and tools. And if you want to go deeper into our frameworks and tools, there's an opportunity to do that. Hop on over to davidbear.com, subscribe to our newsletter. There's a free 4-part video training series. If you want to go deeper, you can take a look at our courses like Mind Hack or the Whole Human Framework. And if you really want to go all in, join us at our live event, the Powerful Living Experience Live. 3 days of going deep on yourself. So thank you for letting me share this with you. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.